as like reasonable adults, as the mayor with millions of dollars who owns multiple businesses, I could understand why hypothetically, because I'm not saying that you're going to admit anything, because I know you won't. But hypothetically, if you got to Legion Square, said, fuck it, I'll rent a car, and then ran diagonally across the intersection instead of running straight and then left or right or whatever it is, right? Straight and then right, as you said. Why wouldn't you just pay the 175 and say, hey, fuck it, I felt like going faster through the intersection and it was worth $175 to me?
What do you mean going, Crane? I was walking. I walk and I crossed the street and I got harassed by 2 officers for it.
Okay, so you are still going to swear banana to me that you didn't jaywalk. So
I did not
what?
jaywalk.
Dan Bailey has what, a vendetta against you?
Crane, you stood there and heard what they were saying in the courtroom. They were claiming that could have been a clone with nuclear codes to blow up the city, and the other officer brought up the fact that Igor came out of a fucking egg. Like,
I'm gonna be honest, as soon as they said that, I tuned out what they were saying and made a mental note to talk to Bass about their mental competency. I don't really understand what they're talking about nuclear codes.
right. So you understand where I'm coming from, where I have to sit there, hear that, and then be told that their word is gospel. You're going to believe it. You understand where the issue is there then, right?
I think that Dan Bailey thinks he's being funny when he says things like that.
That doesn't matter what he thinks, though.
Yeah,
he's literally saying this in a courtroom.
I mean, I tell you what. I mean, this is a good thing for you to see because I think it's a good example for you. I mean, as I brought up in the courtroom, people have suggested to me multiple times, like when I go in and I talk to PD about issues they have, they often are concerned and claim that they can't, properly prove things, and they feel our standard of proof is unreasonable. And their solution, when I bring up to them, that we kind of have to just work off of what we have, is, well, why don't you just give us like body cams or the cams on the cars and let dispatch watch the cams on the cars and like record clips from those cameras on the car. And I've always told them no, because I think that doesn't make any sense. Now, in this case, if there was a vendetta and Dan Bailey was like, going after you, this would vindicate you, right? But the problem for me is that if we started allowing that kind of surveillance, because they have the technology, it's literally in the PD. There are cameras that allow dispatch to watch their car, POV. It kind of takes the art out of the courtroom, and I might as well just be a rubber stamp, because there would just be proof of everything.
Crane, with all the respect, I agree with everything you just said, but you stood there in that courtroom and assumed everything about me, and then for a second assume any of the officers.
Hold on, what did I assume about you?
You assumed all my actions, Crane. You stood there and you said you probably jaywalked. You don't want to admit it. I know you did it, so just admit it. That's literally what you were insinuating, Crane. You said that to my face. You assumed every action that I made, but I assumed zero actions of the officers.
So on the balance of things, here's typically how I am, how the DOJ has to act. And I'll just give you sort of a reference point. And, I'm sure you've been through this in the past. When a officer comes to us, there is a presupposition or benefit of the doubt that they're acting in good faith. Otherwise, they should not be an officer.
Crane, now, how do you say that with a straight face in this city?
Because if people are proven to me to have acted in bad faith, then I recommend to high command that they either get demoted or fired.
Oh, okay,
that is how I can.
Crane is so technical that you can't argue with them.
Let me ask you this: what would you do in this situation? You or me?
If I was you, I would ask for a burden of proof. They had nothing. I would say, all right, no jaywalking.
What proof could there be?
I don't know. They could have recorded me. They could have taken photos. That's not up to me, Crane. They carry cameras. They have all the tools they need to get evidence. Listen, if I was some gangbanger or some shit-stained store robber or some. Sure, Crane, I'm the fucking mayor, and I'm putting a lot of effort to show that to people in this fucking city, Crane. Especially with you, my word means nothing to you.
So let me just ask you this: how would you ever prove that someone ran a red light?
They have tools for that.
How? What tool?
They could take a photo, record it on their fucking big ass cameras.
So they would need to be standing on the side of the road on foot patrol.
Maybe, yeah.
This is why I suggested that maybe you patrol with them a little bit, because I think you might have a
No, Crane. I don't need to patrol with them, because when I get in the car with them, they ain't gonna stop nobody else for jaywalking, Crane.
I agree. I think selective enforcement is a dog shit policy, and I think that people like you and I, for being civilians who don't commit crime, probably get targeted more for little things. But you know, I guess I'm too cynical. I view it as kind of the cost of doing business.
I don't necessarily disagree, but I also think you're cherry picking arguments to prove a point that really doesn't matter. Like this case, this specific situation is.
You're pointing at your reputation as a mayor when I'm trying to explain to you that the real issue here that I already explained in the courtroom is that the burden of proof for a traffic ticket is almost always, outside of cases where there's a radar read, and I guess pretty much that's it, or a dispatch call about a street race or something with the plate flag, it's almost always going to be limited to officer testimony. And my opinion is that if Dan Faley and Patricia Mayonnaise, if it was just one of them, then I'd say differently. But if the both of them come in there and say that they witnessed you walk diagonally across the intersection, I can't.
Crane, that's a fine point, right?
How can I assume that they're acting in bad faith?
Crane, that's a fine point. And in the same testimony, you're hearing them claim how they witnessed a street race 20 seconds before the incident, didn't do anything about it. You're listening to Dan. You're listening to Dan Faley preach that I could possibly be a clone trying to get nuclear codes to blow up the city, and you're listening to the other officer talk about how Igor came out of a fucking egg. This is the testimony you are listening to.
I might believe the last one. I met Igor a few times, and the last one might be true. You talk to Igor a lot?
I do not.
Okay, yeah, that one might be true. I think there's something like genetically wrong with him. But anyway, look. I understand your principled stance. I appreciate it. I will just say that, you know, sometimes the justice system is an imperfect tool. And let me, you know what? And this is perfect. Because whether you are the mayor or a street criminal, I will give you the same answer that I give everyone. Sometimes when you are out on the recess playground and the bully kicks sand in your eyes, sometimes the teacher isn't there to see it. And even though, you know, you're a good
bro,
kid,
I don't know what he's saying, bro.
Sometimes the teacher, you know, has to take the bully's
Are you
word.
trolling me?
No, keep listening. And at the end of the day, sometimes calling the teacher don't always solve your problem, because oftentimes the teacher has to punish everybody. And the teacher doesn't have the information to act. So,
no, not everybody got punished.
Genuinely, just wait. Jesus, your blood pressure must be up there.
Yeah, this conversation is not helping. You're not helping me right now.
So let me get to the conclusion before you freak out. So, generally, what I tell people is sometimes if the teacher can't solve things for you, then sometimes you might have to, you know, have your dad teach you how to throw a 1-2.
What the fuck is he saying?
And, you know, you're the mayor, so you ain't a street thug, so you ain't going to kidnap Dan Faley and Patricia Mayonnaise and torture them. But, you know, you might talk to their superiors or, you know, talk to their high command. Make notes about their selective enforcement about street races versus tickets. You might suddenly have an inclination that you don't want to give their department's budgets anymore. I mean, there's a whole host of things you have at your disposal. And I would say Godspeed to your pettiness, but the DOJ may not always be your solution when an officer is petty with you with a traffic ticket. Because oftentimes the benefit of good faith and benefit of the doubt runs against you.
Okay.
I mean, that's all I can offer you, sir.
I mean,
I hope
I'm
you
not
have
going to get petty.
a,
I take my job very seriously. There's things I will get petty on, but I'm not going to go and go after their budget over one officer that decided to harass me for no reason. That's not how I operate as a mayor.
Yeah, sure, but I'm sure the next time you're on the roof with Bass, you won't happen to mention all this. I'm sure that wouldn't happen.
No, I don't care to mention this to Bass. We were working on bigger and better things. You see how you just assume everything about me, Crane? Like, that's all you do when it comes to me. You assume everything.
I mean, I would. I would mention.
Yeah, have a good day, Crane. Bye-bye.